topics. Nick Saban heading back to ESPN. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, as I was saying earlier, this is pretty crazy. Very unexpected that this ends up going through and him end up being on the set, and just purely because could we think of a lesser outgoing individual than Nick Saban? Could we think of somebody who is less engaging with a crowd than Nick Saban?
Saban can have quiet. Saban can have his moments. He can have his moments, and I think from an X's and O's standpoint, you know what's going to be more interesting? It's going to be interesting to see how he sees the game. Like you're talking about the greatest of all time. You're getting to see, like, hey, when Nick Saban gets to watch all these teams and doesn't have the pressure of, making his own team great, how does he view these other teams? And I think, Joe, you're going to have some really good content from him in reference to how he sees the game of football. I'm really excited about it, to be honest with you. I love hearing intelligent football people speak football. Okay. And so
it's a fair point.
I mean, I like Pat McAfee, but he can be a little goofy sometimes. And I don't think, but which is funny because him and Saban like being goofy together on the weekly show.
So the one thing I was going to say is I feel like having watched enough of him on McAfee, I watch a lot of McAfee during the day, and like seeing his appearances, he has gotten him to, let his hair down a little bit, as you have said multiple times. But I don't know, man. I just feel like that's the most we're going to get out of him, and he's just going to be the same, very stern and serious Nick Saban that we get every single time he does a press conference. I'm excited because I'm hoping that there's a different side of him that we've never been exposed to.
Well, he's already been golfing with Travis Scott and boogie boarding. So, we're already seeing more of Saban than we've seen in the last 40 years.
Right. All right. I mean, he's getting after it.
Well, no, I'm not really surprised to tell you the truth, because there's always been these rumblings in the South about like when he's going to retire and what he's going to do after. And look, it's always been that ESPN was going to hire him as soon as he retired, and he was going to be a college football analyst. He's always talked about loving to be on game day. And look, I see Elk said this, but this is going to be one of my points. They got to rival Urban Meyer with Fox. And so, if Saban says, hey, I want $15 million, what is it for ESPN to spend it? It's nothing.
Well, but the premier, actually, I actually don't disagree with what Elks is saying, because now that I think about it, because there was a little bit more competition this year with Fox. Fox had never had the desire to replace it.
College Game Day. I watched Big Noon Kickoff.
I never remember that even being a consideration. And there were a number of times I just inadvertently ended up watching it and I enjoyed it. I think that they have definitely created competition, which is something that nobody has ever considered. So that's a great point, to have a much larger coaching presence is the way that you counter it. A lot of people for the first 5 weeks are going to tune in for Saban.
Well, they got 3 players, okay, and a national championship winning coach. It's going to work. I like Pat, okay. I like Herb Street, all right, but Corso a lot of times does not do the show justice. So
yeah, he's kind of hanging on.
Man, it makes me so sad.
He should just be like a studio, not a studio audience, but like they should just put him in a chair and let him watch. They should just pan to him every so often. I feel bad.
You make him the mascot?
No. That almost sounds like I'm saying that they need to, like they need to like physically retire him. But no, sometimes you pan to him and he chimes in, kind of like what Chuck Pagano does on McAfee's show. Sometimes he chimes in. That's the most you need from him.